Hello, folks. Hello, welcome to a Wednesday night, a little bit earlier than normal. Techthusiasm live podcast. We're on location. We're on location here from high school girls soccer practice. Yeah, life's getting pretty busy in the summertime, so I was trying to compound some activities, basically trying to get in the live stream, try to get in the podcast, but do it overlapping with some other things going on rather than late night. So we'll see how things go here, see what the turnout is, how the time works for folks. I could conceive of doing live streams possibly for the next couple weeks at least around this time. So Wednesday night is still usually one that tends to work best for me, and the 7:30 time I think will work for the foreseeable future. It's been a busy summer, and it's really just getting started. A lot of some vacationing already, a lot of kids' activities, and so on. We spent last weekend out on the west side of Michigan. My daughter had a soccer tournament there, playing in the sand. She's actually practicing on a sand volleyball court right now for another round of beach soccer. Some more soccer tournaments coming up this summer. It was an awesome, fun weekend. Grand Haven, Michigan. If you in or around Michigan, or you're vacationing here, Lake Michigan, waterfront, I think the best beaches in the state. Check out Grand Haven. So it was a fun time. Superhero moment for my daughter. I got to just take a moment to brag. Semifinals game, they won. She was the last goal scoring in the shootout. She was the shootout anchor and hit the game winner after having previously hit the tying goal to force an overtime and then the shootout in regulation time. So that was her, by far and away, her biggest soccer moment. Super proud dad, super happy for her to have a really cool hero moment. So so that's that. And a lot of things going on, around the channel, a lot of stuff going on in home theater. Fortunately, because of that engagement, because of that pre-existing commitment, of course, I wasn't able to make it to M-Wave. The soccer tournament and our travel there overlapped with M-Wave this past weekend, but I really hope to make it to a future event. I definitely saw some of the comments, some of the videos and different things coming out of M-Wave. Michael's a friend, of course, and would look forward to being able to do, Ryan too, would look forward to being able to do an M-Wave in the future. I can say I have secured my attendance to Audio Device Live, so if you happen to be going to that event, you will see me there, probably with a variety of other home theater, social media creators and and friends as well. So it's always a good time. That'll be I think the third of those events, and the third one that I'll be attending. That's early August down there in North Carolina, downtown Raleigh. So great time. Lots of demo experience there, lots of ability to check out gear, lots of brands being set up. I'm curious to see how they evolved the show for the third time. I think there were some definite improvements from year one to year two. And I'm excited to see what the Audio Device folks have on tap for year three. So I do expect to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So looking forward to meeting folks. Had a lot of great hangout, discussion, meet and greets, meeting brands and all of that stuff at the last one. And excited to go again, and hopefully maybe next year, either maybe M-Wave moves slightly or doesn't coincide with some family activity, family vacation, soccer tournaments and whatnot. And I definitely would like to try to make that trip. So as you're coming in, folks, feel free to sound off in the comments. Let me know who's out there. I know a little bit of an odd time. I did put this one up early though, so hopefully there are some folks able to turn out and make it tonight. Let me know what's going on with your home theater. What have you been watching lately? Did you go to M-Wave? What's been happening around your tech, around your home theater systems in the last couple weeks since we streamed. And again, of course, on location here, sitting out in the Tesla at the daughter's soccer practice. So since last podcast was pretty big announcement, a big change for the channel. Of course, I announced about becoming a Kaleidoscape dealer, adding that as another dimension of business activity and economic activity, and a new challenge, something new to try out, a new role, so to speak, to learn and develop in. So I've been working on that since then. I've definitely learned a lot about selling things, selling equipment, what it takes to do it, sales tax laws, which is business operations, and kind of adding that dimension to the channel. So I love business, I love finance, and so in a way, doing that has definitely been fun. Talking to a variety of folks. So to put it out there again, if you're interested in a Kaleidoscape system, I can be your person. I can be your guy for that. Part and parcel with that, I think it's worth noting that there are some pretty good opportunities, promotions basically going on with Kaleidoscape that are expiring within about a week here. It's basically the end of the first half of the year, the end of the quarter. So we'll be seeing a variety of, I think, sales and stuff, promotional periods finishing up and new things coming in. So if anybody's looking to add a Terra server to an existing system, do some buybacks, do some trade-ins, there are a variety of Kaleidoscape sales promotional opportunities that do expire as dated on June 30th. So if anybody wants to talk about any of those, feel free to reach out to me. Hit me up at jeremypyle.com. There's a contact form there, or email to techthusiasm_JP at outlook.com. And I'm happy to chat, get on the phone, and see what maybe you might want to pull with your Kaleidoscape system. Of course, it'll be interesting to see what new promotions, maybe these end up continuing, maybe they don't. But again, they are set to expire on June 30th. And we'll see what transpires after that if some other new ones come in to replace them. Something else I think worth mentioning, for the month of June, essentially, Anthem has been offering a 20% off sale on their equipment. Of course, I'm a huge Anthem fan. I run 3 of their products in my home theater spaces, between the STR preamp, the AVM 90, and the MDX 16. So I'm not offering Anthem products, at least not right now. But if you're interested in anything Anthem, their current promotion also expires on June 30th. So you have less than a week to take advantage of that. And of course, I would recommend my business partner, Audio Advice. There, they have all the Anthem stuff. They have all of the sales 20% markdown going on. Either go through the links in any of the channel descriptions, any of the video descriptions, or link from any of my social medias. Of course, there's links in the community page here on the channel as well. Great time to pick up one of those AVMs or an MRH receiver for your setup. If you're looking for a direct contact, again, reach out jeremypyle.com or email me through the channel, and I can put you in direct contact with my business partner there, get you all set up, hook you up with some Anthem gear. And hey, after that, if you need some help with Arc Genesis, getting everything set up, configured, and whatnot, I would love to do that as well. I've taught Arc Genesis a number of times in a variety of consulting calls and working with friends, answering questions, and all that sort of thing. So that is a good opportunity to take advantage of. Anthem doesn't mark their stuff down very often. So the question is this a precursor potentially to new models coming? We are a couple months out from CEDIA. Last year at Audio Advice, actually, there were some new product announcements actually at their show. A couple of speaker models and some other things I think were announced. So who knows, maybe we'll see something new between Audio Advice and CEDIA in the Anthem lineup. But I still kind of feel not. I kind of feel like, with no inside knowledge, no privileged knowledge, I kind of feel like the AVMs and the MRXs that we have now are going to stand for a little while yet. I think they have some legs for firmware updates and still supremely high quality. Not a whole lot of feature maybe needed to be added quite yet in hardware. So I kind of expect that. My gut tells me buying some Anthem stuff now, get it while it's on sale, is a good time to do it. Yeah, Michael asking, when was the AVM 90 released? That's a good question. I'd have to pull it up and do some searching on it. I feel like these models are 2-ish years old, perhaps 2 to 3 years old. I bought my AVM 70. When did I get my AVM 70? I think I got it the first year. The channel's 3 years old. This is the 3rd anniversary of Techthusiasm, and I'm pretty sure I got my AVM 70 in around Christmas time of the first year of putting the channel together. So somewhere on the order of 3 years, which is getting reasonable for a product cycle. I think even for an audio product. Yeah, that's my guess as well. I think that's right. But I think we could still, just given the quality of the products and the fact that they've done so much in software, Art Genesis and everything else. Everything's getting updates, feature editions, and so on. I think it could stick around for another year, but time will tell. I think it's going to be an interesting CD. I think going out on a limb, I think there's opportunity to see still more in the projection front, and then of course still a little more, of course, on the audio front. My gut's telling me as well. I really feel like we're due for some JVC NZ700 news. Again, I have no insider or privileged knowledge about anything that may be coming, but I feel like that they can't go. I feel like if it was me, if I was a product manager, I wouldn't go too long after having announced and eminently releasing the NZ800 and NZ900 to drop an NZ700. And I think it makes borderline perfect business sense to put your flagship model out first, draw the attention to that, lock in a runway of sales and deliveries of that unit, and then fill out the lower end after the fact. I think a lot of other companies, Apple and others, tend to follow kind of a similar path. So we'll see. JVC Epson, I think it's going to be a really interesting CEDIA for video. And who knows, maybe some of that stuff could also show its face at Audio Device Live, actually. I wonder if we'll see the NZ900 on display there instead of the NZ9. So that's spiffy. Yeah. Whoa, car stream. Yep. So yeah, some more folks have joined since I started up. Trying to fit a lot of things in life right now. Life is pretty busy. So I'm on location at child number one's soccer practice. Figured might as well use this hour and a half to hang out with all of you folks. Normally I'm sitting here in the car, shopping comic books and reading whatever online. And so I figured this was a good compound use of time to hang out, get a podcast in. So again, I think this may be a stable podcasting time, as long as connectivity and everything seems to work pretty well in this session. Connectivity is pretty good usually right here for the next couple of weeks at least, while she's in this practice. So what's everybody been watching? So I've been watching. We've finished phase 1 of the Marvel Universe as a family, of course, watching the movies on the Kaleidoscope, watching them down in the home theater. Hit Captain America 1 and Avengers number 1. I'm still real deep into Marvel with my son. We're continuing to read through all of the early, let's say about mid 1960s now, original Marvel Universe comic books and stuff. So we're having fun with that, playing Marvel Champions borderline constantly. So he's very excited. He was very excited to see the first Avengers movie. So I think those hold up. I still think Captain America is arguably some of the best Marvel content. They all agreed of the stuff that they had watched so far. They like Captain America the best. So having some fun with that. I was hoping to have Godzilla -1 watched before I live streamed or podcasted again. I was very excited and interested to be able to talk about that, but we just weren't able to get a viewing of it in. I did put the video out looking at Godzilla -1 as it's hit a variety of platforms, and we have some couple different options to watch. So check that video out if you haven't watched Godzilla -1. You're looking to watch it at home, and you want to get an idea of maybe the most opportune way to watch it for you. There's some very definitive differences between the choices, between basically iTunes importing a Japanese Blu-ray version, which is rippable. You are able to rip it. And if you're going to import the Blu-ray version, I don't think I was clear enough about this in the actual video the other day, but one thing to keep in mind, if you import the current physical media release of Godzilla -1 from Japan, there is nothing English on that disc. There is no English dub, and there are no English subtitles. So you're going to have to most likely rip the disc then to an MKV or whatever you want to do, and play it back on our Evolution, an Infuse, a Plex, something that would allow you to access an external subtitle, download a subtitle, and attach English subtitles to the movie in that way. Otherwise, you can stream it on iTunes. $15 buys you the movie. There is the regular version and the black and white version actually available on iTunes. They're independent purchases. Unfortunately, they don't come together. But the iTunes version has the English subtitles, but not the English dub. And then there's, of course, Netflix, which has both the Japanese language with English subtitles in Atmos, or a lesser audio stream that actually is the English dub. I think we'll end up watching the dub, just because I brought it up to the family, brought it up to the kids a couple of times, like, hey, I really want to watch this movie with you guys. It'll be their first foray, their first exposure to the concept of kaiju movies and Godzilla and all of that. And nobody was super enthused about reading the subtitles, even though that would be the superior option. Of course, no Kaleidoscape version yet. There's not a lot of Godzilla on Kaleidoscape, unfortunately. I definitely consider that to be a massive gaping hole in the Kaleidoscape movie store. Because I'm such a fan, I would love any given day to just buy the content set of all 20 whatever Godzilla movies from the 1950s. From the 1950s on up, that would be a day one buy, immediate purchase for me when they come. So we'll see. Hopefully the folks over there, given all of the Godzilla-ness going around since the release of that movie, a lot of crossovers going on, like even in comic books and other places, seeing a lot of Godzilla and a lot of kaiju. So I hope the folks at Kaleidoscape are in fact working on a deal with Toho, and go ahead and bring all those movies over. That would be sweet. The other thing that I've been watching as well, I posted a community post about it, is The Boys. I'm like 2.5 episodes in of the 4. I think there's 4 that have been released now, and doesn't seem as good to me, or maybe as interesting to me as the first seasons did. I think out of the gate, that show was something interestingly different, certainly in the superhero genre. And I'm familiar with the comic book and the source material a little bit as well. But season 3 or 4, whatever the new one we're on here, just doesn't seem to be clicking with me the same way. So curious if anybody's watching The Boys and you're into the current season that's airing. I think they're dropping an episode a week on Tuesdays. What do you think about it? It seemed a little bit weak. I think the 3rd episode was picking up a little bit. I watched about half of it last night, but I'll catch up on that one, and then that'll be something that I'll try to keep up with, one episode week over week. The other thing that I was playing around with a little bit, and I'm going to make a video about this, is a Apple TV app that I was actually contacted about, and it's called, I'm going to have this pulled up, it is called Surround Speaker Check. Pretty cool. So I was messing around with that last night. Pretty neat having a app on Apple TV that you can just download natively and do like Dolby Atmos and speaker location tests and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Just messing around with that the other night. I haven't done too much otherwise in the theater of late. I have some new rack parts sitting downstairs because I still am preparing to do my right half rack realignment reassessment coming up. I'll probably do a little vlog video about that, but I bought, Dan dropped them off actually a couple weeks ago now. They've just been sitting downstairs, but I have a couple of vented grates. I have a special kind of shelf that has like a blank in front of it. So it's a shelf that you only reach from behind. And I'm going to do that to kind of rejigger the spacing and all the vertical aspects of my rack there. Put the plates with the air vents in the U sections right above the NAD amps, and right above the NAD amps, and right above like the Anthem AVM90, right above the Band VR and stuff like that. So I can button that whole rack face up, tighten it up a little bit, and then that will give me some space up above, because I'm still looking at Ubiquity, still thinking about the network upgrades and stuff that I want to make this calendar year for sure. Probably, hopefully, maybe into Q3. We'll see how certain things go, revenue goes, and stuff like that. But yeah, so I got that ready to go, vlog that out. I need to do a little patching, repair as well in the theater. I did take my Chief mount down. Even though I moved the projector a couple months ago now, I had left the ceiling mount still sitting there. suspended from the ceiling, and that was kind of looking pretty goofy. So I finally took that down the other day and needed to get some drywall, spackle, get the holes plugged up and get that painted up nice and clean. So really just kind of some minor stuff going in and around the system. No, nothing really super major planned, at least right now on the horizon. Looking at those JVCs, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Gary, question from Gary. Welcome, Gary. Question: noticed Apple TV 4K got a beta update that they introduced the 21:9 ratio. So I have updated both of my Apple TVs to the current beta. I forget whether it's technically developer beta 1 or it might even be developer beta 2 already. I was getting some of my other devices and that updated, but there's nothing to be found yet in the menus or the settings or the options about the 21:9 aspect ratio mode. So as soon as that hits a beta, rest assured, I'll try to have a video out like that day, because I think that's a huge topic of discussion for Apple TV users around the home theater realm for sure. The only thing that seems to be, there's really two things that I've noticed in the developer beta for the new tvOS. One is the dialogue enhancement stuff is in there. There's an option in settings. I forget specifically where it was, whether it was under like video and audio. There might have actually been under, was it under accessibility? I forget which menu section it is in, but it's called like dialogue enhance. It has three options: off, boost, off, enhance, and boost, which I think were kind of interesting names. I did actually try it. I actually did try that out when I was watching the boys last night. I rewatched the same like 10-second scene multiple times, a couple times over, with the dialogue enhancement in each of those three. And I do feel like maybe I noticed that voices were a little more pronounced between those, but it didn't seem like a lot to me. Theoretically, it should be a system setting. I know in the WWDC video, and even if you go like to Apple's webpage and you look up the features, they show being able to access the dialogue enhancement in the overlay while a piece of content is playing. That may be the case for the TV app and basically Apple content that you're playing with the native Apple overlays, but since I was using Amazon, it didn't have that in there. But anyway, so the dialogue enhancement stuff is in there. And then somebody pointed out in the comments of my kind of like WWDC retrospective video that one of the things that I had actually complained about in one of my prior Apple TV videos, actually, they did, and that's in your collection now. You go to the TV app, you go to your library, and you select over to a poster or a thumbnail of a movie. And if you long press and hold, now you do actually have the option to go to the movie details page from there. So just clicking on it will start playback of the film. But if you long press and hold, before the long press and hold go to movie details was only happening as a result of if you did that while something was on like the up next list, but they did that in the library. So kudos, I don't remember who it was, but kudos to the folks, or a person or a couple of folks that mentioned in the comments about the video. That is confirmed in the current developer beta. So it's definitely something that was a complaint when we lost the iTunes apps in those really nice movie details pages, and instead we got the TV app basically forced upon us. But no 21:9 mode yet. We'll check it out as soon as I'm able to. Yeah, watch out, Kaleidoscope. Well, I don't know that the 21. I mean, it is nice for sure. So Apple TV needed a 21:9 menu mode, and Kaleidoscape needs a always-on HDR menu mode. So now they kind of have opposite. They have opposite features. Kaleidoscape can do the CinemaScope menu and change the menu frame rate, but you can't change the dynamic range of the menu. Now Apple TV will be able to do all of it with when that new setting finally comes. So pretty cool. Couple questions here, and then we'll keep chit-chatting. No super definitive topics tonight, just kind of a hangout, just kind of an update, catching up. So that's kind of all that's on the agenda here. Supernova Moore, do you have any experience with the Ava Cinema remote? I don't. I've been getting a lot more questions though about other remotes. I forget the one. There's another one that just hit Kickstarter. It's called like the Fold. Um, I'm gonna misremember the name at the moment. But I've been getting a lot of inquiries about other remotes. Basically, folks not necessarily wanting to go all the way to investing the unfolded circle remote 3. This is a Kickstarter. I guess they did Kickstarters before. There was obviously a remote 2. But I've seen a couple of folks whose opinions I respect in the hobby for sure, talking about this unfolded circle remote 3. Yeah, Supernova More, the unfolded circle. So I don't know. Maybe I need to try out a couple of these. I haven't felt a big push for that to be something to play around with because my whole system is pretty well integrated via Control 4. And if I did another remote, I wouldn't be buying it to keep it or use it for myself because my house is very definitively like Control 4 oriented, and that's not any. It's basically built into the infrastructure of my home at this point. So that's not something that I would be taking out for daily uses. It would be something that I would do just for the basically just for the content and the experience of doing it. I have had the Sofa Baton folks message with interest of providing a demo unit and all that, but I'm just a little wary because I feel like it's something that's going to take a long time to evaluate, and just to basically make a review video, what like one single video or two, and then talk about it in a live. So I don't know, but I don't have hands-on experience with those other options. I think Michael Youthman has reviewed some of those. A couple other comments. Hamza, welcome. How's it going? All I want, Apple TV, yep, audio pass through. Oh, instead of PCM. Yeah, bit streaming for sure. We will see when and if we ever get it. Not this year. So don't go deinstalling the Kaleidoscapes quite yet. Michael, does the family like Control 4? I think the family is completely indifferent to it. If anything, I would say my kids, that's all my kids have ever known, essentially. We bought this house. My son was born, but not even one. And when we built this house and moved in, and my daughter was just a few years old. So all they know is a Control 4 based kind of smart home. So door locks, lights, garage door, all of these other things kind of being controllable in that way. They don't have another frame of reference. They are fine with like navigating the system. They're fine with the remote. Quite honestly, like though they can use the stuff, but as much as I have a YouTube channel dedicated to audio video entertainment, we're not like a pervasive television household. So like my kids almost never just watch TV actually, or movies or anything like that outside of like family time. So my daughter has she'll play the very rare occasional video game, and if we're like out and they're home, something like that, maybe they'll watch some TV shows. So they don't have any trouble navigating the remote, using the halos and using the system in Control 4 in that sense. Or they, no matter what, they can always fall back to just pressing the watch TV button on the wall, which is about as intuitive as it gets. And then they can just grab the Apple TV Siri remote and use that anyway. So in a lot of cases, that's what I'll see actually. Sometimes if they did in the rare occasion use the television, they actually use the Apple TV. Sometimes I'll see the Siri remote sitting out, the S Lady remote sitting out on the coffee table, where normally it's kept put away in the drawer, and we default to the Halo. Almost by the same token, I can't remember the last time that my wife turned on the television and use the television for like her own entertainment, without me around. It's just not like in our family, in our family DNA. I'll turn the TV on if I'm just chilling out at night, surfing or whatever, and not reading, to put the news on in the background, wrestling or whatever. If we're doing movies, again, my wife should never watch a movie. That's not a family movie. So in many ways, it's inconsequential. I'm pretty sure that my wife would prefer to have less of the stuff, um, less of the control stuff as well, because I think we probably like overloaded the house with wireless things. Uh, in that, I might actually end up taking some. I might end up de-investing some of our household in its automation. Like we have control four switches in the bedrooms and other places where like we never use them by virtue of being on the control four system, to the point where it's almost pointless, and I'd rather have a few less, a couple dozen or a dozen or a couple dozen less wireless nodes in the house than any value that that stuff actually ended up providing in those locations. So long-winded answer, but I think we're like probably an enigma, um, especially again given the channel and given my interest in tech and audio, video, and all of that stuff. Um, our usage patterns of it are definitely a bit of an enigma. I was thinking the other day, actually, I really need to start like forging more time just to watch movies, because there's so much great movie content in my backlog that I would really like to watch, that my wife has really no interest in, and will probably be a long time before they would be any type of a family movie that like, and even then, like in service of the channel, gotta buckle down and do it for business. Like I really need to be watching at least a movie a week, um, later at night or something like that after the kids go to bed. If my wife is doing something else, just go downstairs and knock out some movies, because I'd love to be able to make the content when it's timely, reviewing Furiosa, reviewing uh, uh, IF, and reviewing like some of the stuff that's brand new and that's hitting. But I usually don't consume new content fast enough for a like a review of it to be viable. So I need to figure that out. So that necessitates staying up later. I'm trying to get to bed earlier. So another piece of tech we have coming, actually, and I'm really excited for this, probably more than anything else, is our tonal. So the tonal, um, workout AI online weight lift system arrives on Friday. I'm so eager to get that and get cranking on that. Hamza, would you ever consider extra large TVs, 115-inch, as a replacement for a projector? Interesting question. And yes, I would. If you're not getting a screen size, at least in excess, well, 115 is pretty big for a TV. Let's call it like more like 100 inches, because that 98 is kind of the sweet spot size that a lot of the TV manufacturers are actually putting out right now, and they're kind of viable to actually purchase. If you're not getting a projection screen over like 120 and 120 or higher, I would probably opt for the 100-inch flat panel instead, and uh, just try to sit a little closer. Because no matter what, any of these projectors, the flat panel is just going to wreck them, right? The flat panel is so much brighter. It's a emissive display. You're going to get HDR performance, black levels, all these different things the TVs can do in spades that the projectors do their best, to emulate, unless you end up maximizing conditions and spending a lot more for like more premium projector models and stuff like that. Um, but the projector is all about size. The other thing that the projector can do is do the scope screen. So some of that answer too depends on your setup. Inevitably, I think every consulting call that I've done talking about people's systems and trying to help them out with their systems in a projection based environment, inevitably the conversation has to be what is the aspect ratio of the screen that you're going to put in there, relative to its size and your seating distance and all of that. So you know, you can get a 69 television, 100 inches and whatnot, but you can't get a scope television. You can get a scope projector. So, you know, if you could do a 115 inch 16:9 image relatively close to the size of a super premium large flat panel, but instead of it being 115 16:9, you kept, you know, the equivalent of 115 inch 16:9 diagonal, but you added added width to be able to get to whatever the same height, but whatever the scope width would be. And then now you do the projector, you do the lens memories. Now you're really maximizing cinematic performance in a presentation. I think that plays a role in it as well. So um, if you're smaller on size and you're constrained in width, then I think those are the cases that start to get made for super ultra large flat panel over a projector. The other thing to consider is speaker placements, of course. You get a really big flat panel and you want to have all the speakers. Now your left and right have to go outside of the screen space because they can't project through it. It's not acoustically transparent. And your center channel has to more than likely be down below that screen. Basically, you can't do in walls, or you can't do a cubby, you can't do a hidden audio system. And I feel that in a home theater environment, dedicated room home theater environment, my experience has been there's no substitute to having the speakers hidden away behind the screen. Whether that, again, is in walls behind an acoustically transparent, or towers, or whatever you may have, box speakers in a cubby, again, but behind an acoustically transparent screen. So there's a lot of nuance to the answer, a lot of nuance to the answer to that question. But that's the considerations that I would put around that. So there was a comment recently on one of my videos. I forget which video it was. It was an older video, but it was basically ripping on me for my living room setup and like not having a center channel. It's like, well, you know, I don't want a center channel. I'm very happy with a 2-channel setup, and you know, it's a television. It's an 83-inch television inset into almost 100-inch cubby space, and it's all clean and integrated. Everything is in wall there, of course. Like, I'm not putting a center channel down on the floor in front of that. There's no way that my wife would approve that anyway. Basically, did what we did because we wanted it to be so clean and integrated. But like I don't even feel any need to have a center channel in there because whether it's a matter of Anthem integration, room EQ management, quality of the components that are in there, I'm completely happy with the performance. And the Phantom Center to me works absolutely fantastic. Even when I'm laying down far to the right of on the couch watching something on television, the sound, the voices and stuff are anchored right in the middle. And I say that as somebody that, when I had my prior home theater set up and I had my center channel below the screen, I really didn't like it. I had to work mentally to not listen to the speaker and try to immerse myself in the movie with that speaker down below the screen, and knowing that audio was coming from down there, and having it sound to my brain like, okay, the audio is coming from down here, even though I'm watching up here. I had trouble like suspending that disbelief. Whereas the Phantom Center in the living room, I never even have to work to suspend the disbelief about where the sound is coming from and how where it's going. But yeah, long-winded answer to a basic question, but a lot of things to consider in there. Z's Gaming, welcome. Good evening. Yeah, so if anybody has questions, topics, feel free to toss them out. Again, did you make it to M-Wave? Share some thoughts and takes on your M-Wave experience. I mentioned at the top of the hour that I really wanted to make M-Wave this year, but wasn't able to. We had a family commitment, like a standing summer, early summer trip that we take for an activity, my daughter. So coincided with the M-Wave weekend this past weekend. but I am confirmed for Audio Device Live, and we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully make M-Wave next year. One of the other things we can touch on, we talked a little bit about this in the last live stream, but I did drop kind of my my mic drop, my magnum opus video, all about the living room, home theater, PC gaming setup. Talking about, I tried to cover everything super comprehensively in that video, kind of putting a capstone on a bunch of disparate videos that I've really made over the last several months, as I've tried some different things out to make the PC work to the utmost of what I was trying to do with it, and bring it all together in one video. So I hope definitely a lot of positive feedback onto that video. I think for the folks that are into that sort of thing, they're really into that sort of thing, in terms of that video really being a great super help and interest in stuff for them. If you're not into gaming, particularly PC gaming, then maybe not quite as useful, but but yeah, put a lot of effort basically into that one, and laying everything out entirely there for everybody. So hope folks find some interest and value in that one. Yeah, a couple more question here. Welcome, Muasir Sultan. Per listen or JTR? Interesting question. I would say, what about Focal? Although it'd kind of be per listen / Focal or JTR. I think it depends. Kind of like the last question. I think it depends. I think all those brands are really good brands. I've only heard per listen once at Audio Device Live last year. I think it was the S7 towers that they had in their demo room, and just like a stereo setup. I thought they sounded great, looked great, super awesome quality, build quality, all of that sort of thing. They had the in-walls, which last year there, which got me really excited. Possible consideration, who knows, for a future upgrade or something along those lines. So Hamza saying JTR for subs, per listen for speakers, endgame. Yeah, I think it just depends what you're going for. I think it also depends too on what kind of space you have and what kind of space you're building towards. Like, I think JTR speakers, and I'm not saying this as any kind of a knock, but I think largely want to be heard and not seen per se. Like I know some folks have them. They've got these, they got the big old boxes, massive tower rectangle JTR speakers in living rooms and other places like that. But I think like a lot of JTR stuff is meant to be put in that big cubby behind your screen, like what Youthman has, right? What like Michael has. If you're going to have the speakers out in the space and stuff like that, then I think per listen has probably a better aesthetic to them. Are you looking to drive really insane volumes in a large space that you want those horns, right? And you want essentially what JTR is bringing to the table, or do you want something that has a different refinement and aesthetic to it? I don't think you can go wrong with any brand, any of those brands, in terms of fidelity, quality, build quality, and whatnot. But installation, fitment, placement, fit and finish, stuff like that, it's going to be more of a dictating factor. They're all expensive, so you're going to be spending some good money out of pocket either way. I wouldn't put it out of the question. So in my room specifically, I probably would never have JTR speakers, just because I don't have facility in my room as it exists right now to support speakers like that. Again, bigger box, large volume type speakers. I would have to do a significant reconstruction of my space to build a definitive cubby space and all of that, to be able to fit a speaker like that in there. So until or unless something like that happens in my space, I'm kind of limited and dictated to be going for an in-wall speaker that's like the Focal 1000s that I have, or like the per listen in-walls perhaps in the future. I think it'll probably be measured in years, any significant overhaul of my theater kind of at that level. So, but the captivators, yeah, a couple of captivator, quad set of captivators as an upgrade someday from the um, SB16s. Who knows? Or even potentially Perlison make some really great subs as well. Um, I even though I don't have it now, given I got full cal speakers and the SVS subs, I do think it's really cool to have a product line where you can get everything in line with each other. Meaning, right, the same company makes the speakers and the subs, and they happen to do both of them really, really, really well. And in this particular case, I think both Perlison and JTR fit that bill. So you asked, Munasar, you asked a question. So if you want to share some, oh, here you go. Actually, you said a couple other things. Share some details about what your room setup is and stuff. Makes a big difference. It says horns for some reason turned me off, but then again, my only experience has been Klipsch. Hence, waiting to move to Perlist and Klipsch can be fatiguing. Yeah, I haven't been able to experience JTR speakers for any length of time uh, to be able to say whether I consider them to be fatiguing. Trying to think around the area in Michigan here, some of the meetups that we've been to. Yeah, there are some JTR. I don't remember what everybody has in each of those rooms. I've been to some Triad rooms, Martin Logan. Yeah, I've not heard JTR speakers for any length of time to make uh, make a accomplished opinion there. I don't really know Perlison for that matter, but I have experienced Perlison a little bit more in that regard. So Hamza saying Martin Logan's were fatiguing for me on high frequencies. Went over to the CAFR metas. Yeah, that's the benefit of if you're going to buy something, especially if you're going to lay out significant sums of money to pick it up. Um, Demo if you can demo and see what pleases you the most, or do the thing. Go to M-Wave, right? I think all that stuff. Is Perlison there? I would imagine Perlison was probably there. JTR was there. They'll be at Audio Advice Live. So if you're spending 10, 20, or tens of thousands of dollars on this stuff, spend $1,000 and take a trip to one of these meetup opportunities where you can listen to this stuff and get a feel for it yourself. So he's saying his room is 17.5 by 18 by 8. So what is that, like 2,600 cubic feet? It's a little smaller than mine, not by much though. My focals fill my room with sound to any reasonable volume that I would intend to use my system at. So yeah, think about M-Wave. None of those rooms are treated. Yep. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, big ballrooms too. And Audio Device Live was the same way. Like a couple of the theater demo spaces that were set up last year inevitably had to fall in the bigger ballrooms, and they're not treated. If you go to M-Wave, I guess one of the things that you could do would be to do the more premium and go on the home theater tour. The other thing that you could look at, if you want to demo equipment, depending on where you're at, is check on AVS Forum and see if your area, your state, whatever, has an active meetup community. You may be surprised going that route. Who's willing to have folks over and demo their system and host the meetups, and what you may be able to actually experience that way. I've only just within the last couple of years have I found that community around Michigan. It's pretty cool. I'm way overdue actually to hold my own meetup. I definitely got a ton of gear that I think folks would be interested to see, or accumulated a ton of gear more recently here. He's asking what software to use to organize your movies and your TV shows. So this is related to, I presume, to like ripping, DIY media server, stuff like that. So I don't really do that much at all anymore, or hardly. I can't even remember the last disc that I may have ripped and loaded onto my server. Well, before Godzilla. it had been quite some time. Although I have actually been thinking about picking up a few things, just because I'm getting impatient for a few titles that have come out on 4K Blu-ray that haven't hit Kaleidoscape yet. I'm disappointed they don't have Rocky series. They don't have the Leica Animation Studios movies in 4K. There's a few things here and there. Street Fighter, the animated movie, I think it's got a 4K Blu-ray release. So I may actually put a couple more things on the server here coming up. But to answer your question specifically, I don't really use organizational software. So I tend to rip to MKV per a bunch of the videos on the channel about that process and going about that stuff. So I rip to MKV. I then just name the file according to the name of the movie, put the year, and put a couple of tags in brackets if it's UHD or HD, a couple things like that. I'll manually download the movie poster that I like for that film off of the movie database. Is it .org or .com? TMDB. Yeah. The TMDB.org, the moviedb.org. That's the site anyway that a lot of the Plexes and so on kind of pull their metadata from. But I'll go there manually and I'll download the poster that I like for the movie. I'll name the poster the same exact as the movie file name, and then I just put it on my Synology. I have a structure that I use for organizing. I have a specifically like a media shared folder, and under that there's movies. Under that I just go alphabetical, A, B, C, D, E, F, G folders. And then in each of those folders, if there's a series, so in the R folder, there could be a folder for Rocky, and then all the Rocky movies go into that folder. So I keep a manual organization of my stuff that way. And then if should I ever actually want to watch any of that content, which I can't even remember the last time that I might have actually played a film in its entirety anyway on off of a rip, but I just use Infuse. I use Infuse on the Apple TV. So Infuse is a serverless piece of software for playing back content. There's a Infuse review on the channel. It's actually, I think, the most watched regular produced edited video on the channel is the Infuse app review from a little while back now, probably like 18 months or so ago. Need to update that. There's a lot of content on the channel that I need to update. But yeah, I just use Infuse. Infuse, you point Infuse at the base of your folder, right, for your movie and TV show content. And then it does the indexing. It reads the metadata. If it misidentifies a movie, you can go in really easily and redirect it and adjust it to point to the right movie. I've had to do that occasionally, like with the Godzilla films and some stuff like that. And then that's it. The metadata about your collection for Infuse is stored in iCloud because it's the Apple ecosystem app. And Infuse works on iPhone, iPad, Mac, and the Apple TV. And that's it. So no Plex, no real need for it for me. I don't use a direct media player device. An Arvolution in the setup for the theater would probably be nice because, of course, if I ever play any of those rips, the one thing that the Apple TV Infuse can't do is bitstream the loss. You get the lossless audio, it doesn't bitstream it, which means you can't actually play Dolby Atmos or DTSX. You get the equivalent of DTS master audio or True HD output losslessly as PCM. And that's good enough for me for not having to buy and maintain an extra playback device, for not having to put a bunch of extra effort into maintaining server and a bunch of manual stuff. I'm very happy with that solution. So, but it works in that regard. If you didn't have, it would be even better if you didn't have an Atmos audio system. If you just had a base layer surround system, Atmos is really the only thing that it gives up. Or I suppose if you have like a massive, massive collection of ripped media, we're talking like thousands of movies and all this stuff. Yeah, maybe then you may want to have an actual like server client based metadata system rather than relying on a client-less one like Infuse. I have very little content that I maintain that way because largely my media library is in Kaleidoscape slash and in iTunes directly itself. But yeah, I'm happy with that solution for sure. Looking through the comments. Terminator, he's old school, like pulling the case off my bookshelf and then removing the disc and inserting it. Yeah, I think I look fondly back on the days of that. It's been a long time since I've done it. I did a more recent, couple years ago. I redid or did a new stint of time with an Oppo player, and there is something cool, I guess, from a certain generation of home theater fan, uh, audio, video, movie file, film buff that equates, getting ready to watch a movie with the tray popping out and putting that disc in with the artwork and everything, right? Watching the thing close, having it load up. It's like it's definitely archaic by Kaleidoscape standards, but it's like there'll always be like a warm fuzzy feeling to that, right? It almost is kind of like part and parcel with vinyl or whatever. There's the physical act of enabling the media, for those of us that came from a generation of doing it. It'll always have like a special place. But I'm happy, as much as I'm happy to have transcended from the pains that come with that of disc skips and scratches and playback problems or ripping problems, of needing to, using the disc and working your way through warnings and trailers and inconsistencies of how certain disc menu systems were actually mastered. Uh, Forgetting sometimes that you had to actually go into the audio settings on the disc itself and select the Atmos track because it didn't default to that one, right? Stuff like that. Definitely don't miss any of that. But yeah, always a warm, fuzzy place in my heart for equating those sensations with enjoying a movie for sure. Mood of Sears, Kaleidoscape ruined me. Can never go back to physical disc. Yeah, I agree at this point, and even the concept of building up a physical media library again, or getting back into like ripping stuff in mass. I wouldn't have the patience or just flat out have the time for it. So, and being able to just have those movies hit the store, right, and watch them. Furiosa right now, is it coming out in like August or something, I think, on disc. Other movies, just Kaleidoscape. I love it from that respect. So coming up on the hour here. Anybody else has questions, comments, definitely pop them in. We'll wrap up here in a little bit. So just a couple of, I gotta scratch my leg. A couple of retreads. We'll work on some new content coming up. I definitely have some big content plans that I want to execute. Just basically need to get them done. If you're planning, please definitely come out. Audio Vice Live, beginning of August. Plus, what is that? About 5 or so weeks away, I think. A little more than a month away. I'll be happy and eager to meet more folks there this year. So excited for that. Got a few things to do in the system coming up. Hopefully we'll get more Apple TV OS 18 developer betas coming up. Bust my way through the rest of the boys. Look probably for this as a steady podcast time, I hope, maybe at least through July or so, July to the beginning of August. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. Mudasir saying, have you ever reviewed an Emotiva? Contemplating if to refresh they're doing is worth holding off on moving to a Trenoff. I have not done a Emotiva processor or preamp. I have owned Emotiva amps in the past. When I prior incarnation, actually in my living room, was servicing my living room, and then they repurposed to the theater. I had originally, like, I think they were Gen 2s, a stack of their Gen 2 amps, and then I consolidated into a Gen 3. That was what I had before the Parasounds, and then on into the NADs. But I've never had an Emotiva or never used an Emotiva preamp. I've always been scared about their stability from what I've read and what I've generally seen referenced. So concerned about their stability, concerned about their updates, like long-term support, stuff like that. So when I bought my Anthem AVM 70, I cross-shopped everything, pretty much everything that would have been equitable, and that included Monoprice and Emotiva. And to me, Anthem stood out very much ahead of and above anything that Emotiva might have put out. I had considered them in the past even as well. I think probably one of the prior generations, possibly when I bought my Marantz AV7704, I think it was. But the sentiment to me never struck really great. So I think they're better options with better features, better platform, and every bit as good, if not better, audio quality for the money as well. So if I were you, I would go buy an Anthem AVM 90 from Audio Advice at 20% off this week using the Techthusiasm affiliate links, or I can put you in touch with my business partners there. If you message me, contact me through jeremypyle.com. Anthem has a 20% off sale going on right now, a rare opportunity to buy brand new Anthem gear at a pretty significant discount. And I couldn't imagine that anything Emotiva either has or is intending to put out would stack up against what an AVM 90 is capable of doing out of the box right now. And again, at 20% off, it's pretty much a no-brainer. I would consider an AVM 90 to be something worth holding off on the Trinoff for, especially if you don't have a very large channel count within your system. Meaning, AVM 90 is a 15-channel processor. It can do 4 subwoofers. So if you don't have more than that, and you don't have, let's say, a real challenging room that maybe some of the real advanced Trinoff processing and programming that you could take advantage of could help to deal with, I would go, if I were you, I would jump on that AVM 90 sale. So again, if you're interested, you want to talk more, reach out to me offline. Happy to chat and put you in touch with folks. But if that's a consideration, please, by all means, use the stuff. It kills me so much when I get messages from folks that are like, oh, I saw your Anthem content and I bought this one, just wanted to say thanks, or Kaleidoscape, loved your Kaleidoscape stuff. It really sold me on the platform, helped me understand it. And then I write them back and it's like, oh, cool, where'd you buy? It's like, did you buy with my affiliates? Did you buy here? It's like, no, I got it here, but just wanted to say thanks. Like, okay, please say thank you with your more direct support. It's so much appreciated. All of the information that I try to provide here, I really do put a lot of time, effort, and energy into it. And if you can just buy your stuff from folks that are partnered up, or even now increasingly directly from me, I can guarantee awesome sales support, service, and all that stuff. And it would be huge. It's literally the difference between doing more with the channel and not doing more with the channel. And even now, like trying to get set up to buy one of these new JVCs to be able to talk about it, I need that revenue, because stuff is expensive. So again, just a couple parting reminders. Keep in mind, There are Kaleidoscape promos that expire on June 30th. There are Anthem sales that expire on June 30th. If you're interested in any of that, please reach out. I am now a certified authorized Kaleidoscape dealer, and I have been taking some strides in this last interim since we last spoke, getting really fully set up, really ready to go to help people with this stuff. And I'm in the process of adding more to my portfolio of what I can offer directly. So I have designs for certain brands and certain equipment that I want to be able to offer. You shouldn't be surprised based on the brands that you see on the channel. You know, the stuff that you hear me talk about, the stuff that I like, and the stuff that I know really well is what I would be inclined to offer. So starting with the Kaleidoscape, moving into JVC, if anybody out there is potentially thinking about these new JVC projectors, reach out to me and let me know. So I guess the moral of the story is if you're contemplating any home theater purchases, any AV purchases, whatever it may be, please reach out to me first. Again, through jeremypyle.com, through Techthusiasm_JP at outlook.com, and let's have a conversation. And if I can help you directly in an awesome way, I'll do my best to do so. And if I can't help you directly, I have a collection of really great business partners that I can connect you with that can certainly do so. But bring absolutely, please, everybody, bring your inquiries through me, and I'll make sure that you get hooked up, set up, get all of your stuff optimized, and facilitate your gearing up and your enjoyment of the hobby. So I'm going to keep it tight here. We'll call it here at an hour, short and sweet. Definitely had a good time hanging out, a little bit of conversation here. Looking forward again, 7:30 Wednesdays, hopefully a bit of a stable time for live streams podcast coming up. And we'll have a lot to talk about as we go forward here. Very quickly, we're going to be encroaching on CEDIA. We're going to have new gear announcements and stuff coming. We've got TVs, I think, hitting. We've got projectors about to hit. It's going to be an exciting time in this whole home theater audio video hobby coming up. New content to watch and all that. So I will bid you adieu. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun. Have a good one.